Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, we've got a very special guest. He is the freshman from the University of Virginia that is now the two-time ACC champion in the 50 and the 100 freestyle. Today, we are sitting down with Matt Brownstead.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to talk to you, to break some of these swims down. Let's start with those ACC championships. You were 1888 in the 50 free, 4188 in the 100 free, both getting you to the wall first and making you a two-time ACC champ. Can you take me through that meet and specifically through those two swims?
So we geared up a lot for that meet. We had a long taper, and I felt really good at the beginning of the meet with the 50. It was the first day of individual events, and I knew I wanted to go sub 19. I was trying to go for the nag. Obviously, I didn't hit it, but 1888 was personal best by a half a second from the beginning of this year. So I was super happy with it, and I think it kind of set me up really well for more fast swims at the rest of the meet. And, it felt great to be able to swim that fast with all the training and all the difficulties we've had this year with COVID and whatnot. But it was amazing to start off the meet that way. And the 100 was 4187, and it definitely was a tough swim. Being at the end of the meet the last day. It's a pretty long meet. I had 10 swims, I think. So it's a tough meet for sure. It'll tire you out a lot, but it was good to end it on a good note like that. And I was happy with the time.
If you watch the race video from your 100 free, you really put your head down that last 25 and get to the wall. What do you attribute being able to do that to?
I always do in practice when we're doing 100 free stuff. I always just, try to remember that that's where I get a lot of speed on the last 25, like you're hurting really bad, but you just got to put your head down and sprint the wall as fast as you can. And it'll do a lot for your race for sure.
Yeah. So, you mentioned you had 10 races throughout the weekend, which in a 3.5-day meet, is typical for the NCAA format, but it still doesn't make it any less tiring. How would you have prepared for, a big event like that this season?
You really just got to do a lot of stuff outside the pool, getting a lot of rest, eating well, doing a lot of recovery. We use Normatec, ice baths, Theragun, stuff like that. So really just doing all that stuff really well outside the pool leading up to the meet is super important to, gear up for such a long meet.
Mm-hmm. And had you talked, did the ACC Championship meet as a whole meet expectations? Did you talk to upperclassmen kind of about what to expect or your coaches heading into the meet?
I think we all perform pretty well, and obviously we want to get up there and start winning championships, and it's something we're going to prepare for and we're going to train for. But overall, I think we did really well as a team.
Yeah. And I gotta ask, we saw you and we saw a handful of other freshmen, really perform well in the sprint events. I think there's been 4 or 5 freshman men under 19 seconds just in this conference season, and we haven't even gotten to NCAAs yet. I talked to Steve Youngbluth, the coach at Florida, who was Caleb Dressel's coach when he swam in college, and he's kind of saying all these kids are chasing Caleb, right? Are chasing this mark that's like way up in the sky. For you, as coming in as a young sprinter, how do you see your class or just kind of your crop of speedsters, and how do you see yourself as do you think that you are chasing that mark?
For sure. I always strive to be as fast as I possibly can and shooting for those, American records, NCAA records, stuff like that. Obviously that's the goal in the long term. Right now we got to make goals to get to that point first, for sure. So, like little steps along the way, you don't go right from 19.2 to like 17.6. You got to start like 18 high, 18 mid, like get down there. So it's all about like setting smaller goals and like moving towards that point. But I definitely think we're moving in the right direction. And it's incredible how fast our class has been this year, the 2024 class, just all around, not even just sprint events, is insanely fast. And I think it's NCAAs is going to be a very exciting meet with all the sprint events.
Was it surprising to you at all to see that many people in your class throughout the NCAA go that fast?
Not necessarily surprising, because I know we have a lot of talent in the class, and a lot of people are working super hard to get to their conference meets, and putting in the work and racing fast. So seeing that, a little surprising, not as much so surprising, more I don't know, kind of motivating, and like I expected to see fast times. So it makes sense to me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've been on junior teams with a lot of these guys and gals, and do you talk to them after you see someone like Adam Chaney pop off an 18 or 42 or 4400 back, or Carson Foster doing his thing at Big 12s? I mean, do you talk to any of these guys and just be like, dude, that was pretty sick?
Yeah, we were talking in our group chat from the junior world team, and we were congratulating each other and stuff like that. I talked to Matt King a little bit after his 100 free, his 41.6. That was pretty impressive. And just, that kind of bond we have as top level swimmers is pretty strong.
Is that something that you guys have pretty much carried throughout? And is it a little surreal to see that you all have kind of so far walked that same path?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, obviously that was about a year and a half ago now, maybe a little bit more. But just to see how far we've all come is really cool. To see how the work we put in has paid off.
Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit about that, the work that you've done personally just this season since getting to UVA? Like you said, especially with, everything COVID this year, all the restrictions that have been put into place. How do you feel like your freshman season just of training went?
It's definitely a bit of a struggle with all the regulations, smaller groups, and we don't have as many kind of team bonding times. But training has gone absolutely great. I mean, I love it. The sprint training is incredible at UVA, and I think it's gone really well. And I think it's definitely put me on the path to be this fast. Without it, I don't think I'd be where I am. Todd's a great coach, and all the work that we've been putting in since September has paid off in the long run for sure. I'm just looking forward to getting into the normal training without COVID.
So there's two parts about that I want to ask about, because from my perspective at UVA especially, there's just the work you're doing, and then there's kind of the environment and the energy that provides. So just in terms of the work that Todd's having you do in that UVA sprint group, is it pretty different to what you're used to, or is it kind of similar?
So my club team, we would do like a sprint day every week, but even the sprint day we would do is so different to what we do at UVA. At UVA, it's so much more power based. We do like racks and shoots. We do like 10 stroke efforts or like something like that. And it's incredible to see that you can get so much out of, a rack, which is 12 and a half yards with a belt attached to you. It's incredible to see you can get so much power and speed from stuff like that. Whereas you don't, like, before coming to college, I had never trained or used racks before. And it's going amazing, like the different kind of stuffs and how creative Todd can get with the training that we do. I think it all contributes to the speed and the power that we get when we're swimming.
Do you see that from the lifting that you have incorporated in as well?
Absolutely. We do a ton of cleans, like hang cleans, power cleans, stuff like that. And that's all to kind of work on that explosive power that we have. And, the month or so before NCAAs, we were working a lot more, switching from strength into power and speed and moving the bar quickly when we're doing squats, bench, deadlift, stuff, clean, stuff like that. So all that weights also converts right into the pool. We're working the powerful movements and trying to contribute to the swimming speed that we get from that.
Yeah, and then again, the second part of that, just the environment that UVA has provided, and the energy that I feel like the coaching staff kind of exudes and bring to the team. How has that affected you in your training?
I mean, it's incredible. It's never a dull moment. We always have a great time at practice, even when we're separated. And it makes practice very enjoyable to go to. It's never like a drag to go to practice. You go and you enjoy it, and you're getting a lot of great work in, coaches and athletes.
Yeah, and then just being a freshman in college overall, not even necessarily the swimming part. Do you feel like that transition has been more difficult because of COVID, maybe easier because of, all these restrictions? How do you feel like just, going from the first 18 years of your life to now being a freshman in college has been for you so far?
It's been pretty easy, I think, in my opinion. The things that we get provided as athletes by UVA are super helpful, tutors and an academic coordinator. Stuff like that helps make the transition from high school to college so much easier. And COVID, it might have made it a little bit more difficult, but it certainly is manageable. And I think the transition definitely went as well as it possibly could have, training school and all. So I'm pretty excited for what's to come.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me today. Any parting thoughts before we sign off?
Excited for NCAA, is ready to go fast.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.